I'm Diane Leonard, GPC and RST of DH Leonard Consulting.
And I'm Bethany Planton, GPC.
And fellow book lover, if you will, right?
Yes.
And we're here today to talk about a fun book, Unicorns Unite. And we've been talking about the three different parts of the book. And we're into the actionable part. This is more like, it's like a workbook, right? Something where I don't want to write on any of these beautiful pages. That's why all I did was put many, many Post-its when I read it the first time a few years ago. But I think you could write on it. Or turn it into like a handout and keep the pretty pages on your own. But we talked in part 2 about epic partnerships and what that looks like between grant makers and the grant seekers. Do you have any examples that come to mind in your work? What have you seen, Bethany?
That is hard. I'm trying to think. And in a previous episode, can we be episodes?
Sure,
previous episodes. We were talking about the pandemic, and I do think there was some more closer to epic partnerships that was happening during the pandemic when nonprofits were coming. Well, sometimes it started with the grant maker coming and going, what are your problems? Like, we know you're having them. What are they and how can we help? And then the nonprofits being honest with that. And so having those grant makers come and say, or what are your problems? Or we have this emergency fund, please apply for it, or turn the funding we've given you already into general operating. To me, those are some of the things currently that feel like more of an epic partnership. Do you have any specific examples?
I will not. Yes, I have 2. I have one that is a good one and I have one that's a bad one.
Oh,
they're both pandemic inspired because you put us down that path.
I know.
So the good one is there was a specific fund that was being run up in the Adirondacks. It's up in far, far, far upstate New York, even farther like upstate than me. They reviewed applications every day from local nonprofits, every single day, because things were changing so fast and people were asking for needs and trying to figure out what to do. Every day they would review and award funding, every single day. I was a grant maker and I was like, wow, that's impressive, right? Like absolutely impressive. On the flip side, there is a story. I'm not even going to name where the grant maker is based or what their first letter of the alphabet is in their name. They pulled all LOIs that were already pending in the system and said, we'll invite you again another time to like that's the opposite of big and bold and better. I'm like, that's like teeny tiny. We'll focus on the great one from the Adirondacks. But what I was thinking about was then how do we know about these stories? How do they get promoted? How do we say like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Please do that again. Like this word of mouth thing, right? Through like the Grant Professionals Association and the networks that we have. And sometimes, well, both for the positive and the negative stories, through Grant Advisor. Right. And having people report on funders they've interacted with and giving those reviews of things that were amazing or things that weren't quite epic. I would love to see more of those stories promoted, but the Grant Maker of the Year, the Grant Professionals Association, I would say each of those awardees every year is one example of something that was an epic partnership.
Right. I would agree.
And I do know they get more than one application every year. I'm not quite sure how many more than one, but we know they get many. Like it's a hard decision, right? And that gives space for promotion of epic partnerships. But I feel like, wouldn't it be amazing if we had more positivity in that way and those stories had some sort of ongoing showcase?
Yeah.
I think we just came up with something for the backlog. Deal with that later. But those are like the high level. Let's talk about small level change.
So our next question, what small ways have you seen groups of 3 or more start to create change? Because they have, hold on, I do want to get to that fun page. They have this fun illustration of the party unicorns. And I even wrote on this Post-it that it makes 3 of us to do these book clubs. You see 2 of us and Meg is behind the scenes making it look better than what we're recording, probably.
Yeah, it's true. It like the idea that if you just bring in a few colleagues and set some ideas and like get started on something, that you're going to create awesome change or ideas with partnerships. I liked that. It's nice to think about working not alone. I know sometimes grant professionals feel like they are the only one. So the good news is if you're thinking of your group of 3, they don't have to be 3 grant professionals. Oh, the burnout. Well, now it's the burnout quartet, but it started as the burnout trio.
Well, it's got that and more. Yep, we got
that. And many more.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another example, though, of something that started and then has grown in amazing ways because of it. Yeah, when we think about like the impact that a small, thoughtful group of people can make, what actually really came to mind for me wasn't an example just of work that I'm aware of, like that you've done or others have done, but the idea that you're going to feel like you have limited time and what could we really do?
Right.
And so I loved, look at all these ideas. There are so many. And what if I only have 1 hour per year? 1 hour per year, that's it. So out of 365 days, 24 hours in a day, if you have 1 hour that a group of 3 of you could put towards something, if you were in a nonprofit, could you put client needs first? I like it. Actually, I skipped over smash the input hierarchy. I visualize like hammers and smashing of ceramic things. I'm not really sure, but I mean, like that could be your option. But like on the 1 hour per month, so making it more of a habit. What stood out for you in that list? Anything that seemed like something a group of 3 could make meaningful impact with?
Well, if I'm maybe looking up at the 1 hour per month, what stood out to me, just looking at it quickly, ask for what you need. Because this one also applies back to that burnout work we've been doing and something we've been talking about and knowing yourself. And we have to ask and set our boundaries. That's partly setting your boundaries for what we need.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and it's nice that some of these sound really big and aspirational, which could feel daunting, but also give a lot of room for what would the steps be. So actually, if you flip back a page, look at all, I know I'm like, here I am back to my teacher mode again. And here in this book, instructions are as follows. It's almost like a recipe. Grab 2 colleagues. I have grabbed Bethany and Megan in this case.
Right.
Pick one action. Talk about grant writing books to make grants less stressful for others in the field. Do it, period. Oh, we're doing it right now.
Yep.
Discuss. We'll have to see what feedback you give us down below for which book we talk about next.
That's just a good idea.
And so I did it that way, but like, look, you could fill in the nicely rainbow shaded sections as well. I told you I don't want to write in the book. It's too pretty.
I know, it's pretty.
I know. And then end result. The illustrator of this book, can you even? How amazing. Like, what fun. What fun. No. So let's return to your burnout example here real quick. Walk me through your recipe. Can you like go back in time and think about when it was the original conversation, you and Donna and Trish, who grabbed the 2 colleagues? Who gets credit?
So Jonna gets credit. Jonna Rogers gets credit for grabbing the 2 colleagues. She had done a couple sessions on burnout at like Grant Professionals Association national or annual conference. And then Trish and I had been doing this general book discussion at the conferences. And one year we chose to pick a specific book, hoping that people would read it ahead of time and we could have like an actual book club kind of discussion. And so we had chosen The Happy, Healthy Nonprofit. And so after that, Jonna was like, hey, you 2 are thinking similar to what I was thinking with burnout. And we started meeting together and thought, okay, we think, there's something here. And so she reached out to us. We said it was kind of a heck yes, I think, for us. And we said, let's have a meeting. So that was kind of our, our first action was to have a meeting and kind of decide, what does this even look like? And I think from pretty much the beginning, we knew we wanted to do some sort of journal article. Because if I remember correctly, John, and maybe have even started working on one and said, by myself, I'm not getting this done. I need to bring in people to help me. And that's when we started diving into previous research just to see if the word burnout and grants or burnout and fundraising went together in any, and no one had done that study. And so now we keep adding action step after action step, because we present it and people talk about it and ask us certain things. And we're like, oh, we haven't thought about that yet. Or I see you have this need, but based on what you're telling us.
What an awesome example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And hopefully that provides some inspiration. So we've talked about how this actual video that you're watching is about 3 people that came together that had an idea. You've heard about something a little bigger, research in the field. I mean, the impact that's already had on thousands of grant professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, tell us down below, what are some examples of things that you've been a part of that you think would fit into these like groups of 3 that are creating change, or what ideas do you have? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe while you're there so that you never miss any of the other cool ideas that the 3 of us come up with. You just never know what we're going to talk about, the tips and tricks we're going to share. It's too much fun. We're having fun as our nonprofit unicorns over here.
Yep.